Welcome to the Friction to Freedom podcast, where the mission is to support you as you tap into the best and highest expression of yourself. I'm Janet D. Thomas, and welcome to today's episode. I'm really delighted that you're with me today. And this podcast is all about one idea, that internal shifts can lead to external success. What I found in my own lived experience is that the moment I had my breakdown and subsequent breakthrough, I broke down because you know what? I was relying on external circumstances, external experiences, and people to reflect to me acknowledgement, understanding, love, and support. And I wasn't giving it to myself. I was kind of blowing in the wind with that stuff, looking outside of myself. And when I finally broke through my own issues when it came to that, my perspective shifted. And I was able to do some inner work, some very, very actually intensive inner work that allowed me to gain the freedom that I always strived for but couldn't find because I was overachieving, I was being the perfectionist, I was being a martyr, I was being things that I thought the world wanted to see of me. But I was vacant within myself. I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have the self-friendship that I have come to develop that has been the absolute game changer in my ability to have external success. So in this podcast, we're looking at things backwards. Rather than looking to the outside for our support, we're looking internally first. And that's where I've discovered that all the blessings and the gifts happen. So that's what we're focusing on, tools and techniques surrounded with the idea about neuroscience and these self-discovery tools. And that's what this podcast is all about. And we're going to move forward with today with a very specific topic. However, I want to remind you, as always, that you are the ultimate authority in your life. So take what you can use and chuck the rest. You don't need it. If it doesn't resonate, leave it alone. Okay. So today's topic has to do with, what am I missing? What could I be missing about the times that we're in right now? What could I be missing? So I want to share one idea with you about that and then make 3 different points about it just to see what you think about it. So what could I be missing about the times that we're in today? Well, time is accelerating. We are absolutely able to receive things more quickly than we were in the past. We're able to manifest things more quickly. Let me give you an example of this throughout time. Now, I'm going to be dating myself, and it's totally fine. Back in the 1970s, well, I love music, first of all. Music, I think, was my absolute first love growing up and remains that way to this day. But anyway, back in the 70s, the most amazing thing happened, at least from my perspective. Before this, whenever you wanted to play music or a record, a recording, the old days, it was 78 RPMs. Now, this is like on a turntable and you had a needle on a record, put the needle on the record. Anyway, you put the needle on the record and it was either a 78 RPM, revolutions per minute, 78, 33 for the bigger LPs, and 45s, which were for singles, like single recordings of a song. In the 1970s, something amazing happened where we got 8-track tapes and 8-track players. Now, 8 tracks were taped versions of the music that was on vinyl. So music became portable. I could, get an 8-track tape player, you put it in there, and you could play an album. You could play actual songs. But here's the catch with the 8-track tape back in the day. You could only fast forward because it was just on one continuous loop. So You couldn't rewind. Like, let's say you wanted to hear one song again, you couldn't rewind it. All you could do is fast forward. Come to think of it now, it sounds hilarious, but that's what we had. So you had 8-track tapes. You could play them in your car and it was great, but you could only fast forward and you could just go through the whole thing, the whole album. Then came cassette tapes. Now, cassette tapes allowed me to rewind and fast forward. So that was like revolutionary. But when you're rewinding and fast forwarding, you don't know when you're going to get to the next song. You just kind of fast forward, anticipating how long it might be until you hit the song that you want to hear. I hope this is making sense. Anyway, so with the cassette tapes, technology was improved where you could rewind and fast forward. Then you get, I could be skipping, no, CDs were next. So with CDs, you could skip literally to different tracks right away, backwards, forwards, and you could identify the song that you wanted to hear faster. It was amazing. Now, cut to today, and you've got streaming services. I could literally today think about a song that my parents used to play in the house back in the 60s or the 70s. And I can think about that song and I can go right to it in 3 seconds on my streaming service, within the streaming service. And we can create playlists of different artists, different genres, different types of music on one playlist, and we can go backward and forward. We can just go back and forth very, very quickly. So that's my example of how time has accelerated throughout the decades. So we are able to achieve things more quickly. We're able to access things more quickly than ever, and it's continuing to accelerate. So with that basic point about the idea that we are manifesting things more quickly, I want to make 3 different points about that. And also, this is going to be a case for self-friendship, how that plays into the fact that time is accelerating and that we get things more quickly than we ever have. And it's going to continue to accelerate in that direction. The first point I want to make about that is that what you perceive is what you will receive. So this has to do with the nervous system, okay? What you are perceiving, whatever that may be, if you have a thought about a non-preferred experience, past or future hasn't happened yet, but you're thinking about something that's non-preferred, your body is going to manifest the symptoms of what that's about while you're thinking it. So whatever you're thinking, your body is saying yes instantaneously. It does not know the difference whether it's a perceived threat or an actual threat. So your body can adjust to a negative experience. It can adjust to preserve itself. So you can go into fight mode, flee mode, or freeze mode just with your thoughts on what you're thinking. And also, consistently with that, if you're thinking something positive, if you're thinking of something that happened in the past that you felt really good about, or if you're thinking about something in the future, anticipating something really good that could be coming up, your body says yes to that right away as well. So it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, it's going to translate in your body right away. You receive it right away. So whatever you're perceiving is what your body is receiving and responding to. So because that's happening more quickly, see, the thing is, it's happened that way, but science has discovered that that's how it works. So with scientific discoveries, we're getting more understanding about ourselves and each other. So now that we are aware that whatever we are perceiving, we are receiving right away, we might want to be more mindful on how that works and how we can make adjustments to become more, be in our driver's seat, be in our own driver's seat in a better way. So that's point number one. What we are perceiving, we receive right away. It's happening, it's manifesting more quickly. So being mindful of that and making adjustments if we want to, I don't know, improve our quality of life in that way. That's one idea to how to do that. Number two, we have more worldwide access today. Time is accelerating. We have access to people around the world, information around the world. And because of that, we have more choices. I'm going to give you a really silly kind of example on this, but then I'm going to bring it back to another point about having more choices. Let's say that you're going into a supermarket and you've never tried, this is silly again, you've never tried pickles. You've heard about pickles and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the supermarket and get pickles. Now, if you go to a large supermarket here in the United States, you can go into the aisle where the condiments are and you can find, if you're looking for pickles, you can find 30, 40, 50 choices of different pickles. Okay. It's like, well, what kind do you want? Do you want sweet pickles? Do you want dill pickles? Do you want kosher dill pickles? Do you want relish? Do you want the chips that you could put on burgers or sandwiches? Do you want whole pickles? That means you go over to the refrigerated section even. So you have even more choices. So there have been articles written about the idea of choice overload. We can have too many choices. And when we have too many choices, we can get into a state of paralysis where we don't make a decision because it's overwhelming. It's just too many choices. Now, on the other hand, if you go to a smaller market or a different geographic location where the choices aren't as many, let's say you want to go get pickles and you've got 3 different choices, it makes it easier to make a decision because you have limited choices. So today, and they've talked about this, like this paralysis when it comes to making choices, and then we can make choices that we regret or we're exhausted and we make a choice, and then we can have a nagging feeling that we made the wrong choice. And we can also have a nagging feeling that there's something better than the choice that I made. So these are some of the things that can happen because we have so many choices. So with unlimited choices, and this is a case for self-friendship, that's going to be point number 3 that I make. But with the idea that we have so many choices, unless and until you know what you want, or you have clarity on who you are or what you're looking for your own benefit, for your own purposes, unless you know what that is, you could be blowing in the wind with all of the choices and all the options that you have. So what I would say about that is that when we understand who we are, when we understand our own gifts and talents, when we know what we have passion about, when we know what our own goals are, these tools like the internet, access to things that are worldwide, artificial intelligence, these are tools for you to use in order to help you get what you want faster. It can be crazy making when we don't understand who we are and we are just blowing in the wind with whatever information we're getting. We have the opportunity to be very, very deliberate about our choices on what we ingest, not just, of course, with food and sustenance items, but with information. We get to explore this if we understand our nervous system too. What makes me feel anxious? What information makes me feel sad or ill at ease? What information supports me? What information do I find joy with? What information do I really have fun accessing? We get to make these choices for ourselves, especially within the context of self friendship. And that's the third point I want to make today when it comes to the idea of what could I be missing from these times that we're in. I want to make a case for self friendship. Now, self friendship, the way that I define it, has to do with embracing all aspects of ourselves with physical harm to none, including ourselves. With harm to none, including ourselves, honoring and embracing and accepting all aspects of ourselves, and with harm to none. So to me, that is the definition of self-friendship that I want to share with you today when it comes to this. So your inner clarity, when you have inner clarity, that is going to lead to having more agency in your life, the ability to make decisions for yourself based upon your inner connection, as opposed to blowing in the wind of what's happening outside of yourself. So when you have more clarity, you get to choose from all of the available options that are out here for you with laser focus on that which serves you best. That is the case for self-friendship. You no longer are at the effect of other people, places, and things and information. You choose your information based upon where you want to go. And that puts you squarely in the driver's seat in your life. Yay! Oh my God, that's so exciting. I think it is anyway. So, self friendship, one of the first things that we've been talking about in this podcast when it comes to self friendship has to do with understanding your nervous system, understanding when you get dysregulated, what might happen, how your body might respond to that, and how you can get back into homeostasis, rest and digest, that place where you learn better, that place where your imagination gets to work into, and that where you can have fun and you imagine what you want, or you're planning, etc. You get to understand how you can get back to that more quickly and more easily, so that you don't have to be at the effect of non-preferred experiences and non-preferred behaviors of other people or things that get you dysregulated. You have more freedom because you know how to get back to yourself again, where that home base is, where you feel good and you're chill. You know how to get back there much more quickly when you understand your nervous system. And that is, my friend, an act of self-friendship. Think about understanding your nervous system as your superpower, being able to bounce back from non-preferred experiences or situations, being able to bounce back very quickly. That is your superpower. And think of your nervous system and understanding your nervous system as the user manual for your mind and body. It's your user manual, and you get to maximize how you use it based upon the information on how to apply it in your life. Some other benefits of self-friendship: clarity, finding out what you are passionate about, what you might be able to serve with, how you may be able to be of service to other people, what you have passion with, what you find love for, that which is uniquely something that you want to share, you want to develop, you have curiosity about, that you find joy with. These are things that you can get through the idea of self-friendship. So another aspect of self-friendship, and then I'll be done for a while because I could just go on and on about this. When you have self-friendship, when you understand how your nervous system works, when you get more clarity on your tools and your gifts, your passions, when you get clarity on that, you can become less reactive to other people. And you can also be kinder to yourself and other people because you've got this. You've got a basis where your hands are firmly on the steering wheel in your own life. And that's what can happen when you have self-friendship, especially during the times that we are in, as the information gets bigger and wider and as things accelerate. You can have your feet firmly on the ground with your self-understanding and use this as your own playground. That's what I wanted to share today about what we might be missing during these amazing times as things accelerate. We have the ability to meet these times in ways that don't have to be filled with anxiety and fear and misconceptions. We get to navigate this. And last thing I want to share has to do with shifting perspective. I want to give you this one thing to consider, or not. What do you think about the idea if I were to say you have responsibility for your life? It's your responsibility. Now, the word responsibility can have a real challenging, triggering connotation to it. Sometimes when I think about the word responsibility, I think about when I was younger, and let's say my brothers and I are in the house and we're, messing around and something gets broken and someone comes in and says, "Hey, who's responsible for this? Who did this? Who broke this?" Anyway, so responsibility can have this negative, heavy kind of connotation to it. But I invite you to shift perspective on it like this. When you break down the word responsibility, you break it down to two parts: response, ability. Response, ability. So what if we were to switch it? What if we talked about responsibility simply being the ability to respond? Response, ability. You have the ability to respond to your life. With whatever's going on, you have the ability to respond to it. Now, that might shift things where it doesn't feel so heavy and dark and challenging and blaming and guilt-ridden and all that stuff. It could open it up to see it differently. So as opposed to you are responsible for your life, you have the ability to respond to your life. So I invite you to think about that and what that might mean for you. What does it mean that I have the ability to respond to my life? I will share with you at least my understanding from my lived experience in this thing. And that is that when I realized and I started to adopt the idea that I have the ability to respond to my life, I was talking about that for myself, having to do with my own non-preferred experiences and how I saw those experiences. And what I come to understand is that my non-preferred thoughts, beliefs, and experiences are the absolute doorway to shifting them and having them work on my behalf. I actually started to transform my non-preferred experiences, beliefs, and thoughts. Just like we did with that word responsibility, the ability to respond, I took all of those things that were on my plate, those realities that I was experiencing, and I was able to engineer them to work for myself. And that is a function of self friendship. I had to look no further than my own plate of crap in order to transform my own life. Another case for self friendship. We're going to talk a lot more about this topic, that the way out is through, the way out is in. You don't have to look any further than your own plate of stuff to transform it, to gain respect, self-respect, to gain understanding, to honor what you did to survive, all of these different things. We're going to talk so much about that because I love this stuff. I am obsessed with self-healing. I am obsessed with the idea of internal shifts can lead to external success. So those are just a couple of tidbits with respect to these amazing times that we're in and how we can leverage them for our own best interest and our own pursuits, intellectually, educationally, lovingly, passionately, in service to ourselves and to each other. These are the possibilities. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any questions or insights or thoughts that you want to share, hit me up in social media, on my website, email. I'll be around. I look forward to your comments. And as things continue to accelerate, we have the ability to respond to them in really meaningful, wonderful, amazing ways. Take good care of yourself this week. Be kind to yourself. See you next time.